Hello everyone, Mike Rempel from Another Set of Eyes with today's Excel Bytes blog post. Today we're going to take a look at Consolidate in Excel. And we're going to look at three different options of Consolidate in how it all work. So here's the first scenario that we have. I have a little chart here with Q1 through Q4 of year 2012 and sales of three different salespeople, Betty, Jack, and Sam. And I want to consolidate those so I can just sum up those. Now, there's obviously different ways to do that. You can use a pivot table. You can use other methods. You can use sorting and filtering, subtotaling, etc. But we're just going to show the consolidate function as one option of doing so. So what we're going to do is I'm going to click up here in G1, and then from the Data tab in Excel, under the Data Tools, there's Consolidate. So I'm going to click on Consolidate, and the consolidated dialog box pops up, and you have a choice of 11 different functions, sum, count, average, etc. We're going to just stick with sum, and our reference is going to be that table. So I click on that box, I highlight the area, click on it again, and go ahead and it adds it to the all references. Now if I go ahead and say OK, but before I do that actually, I want to define where I want the labels used. Now notice in my table I have labels across the top for each column and down the side for each row. So I'm checking both of that, top row and left column. I click OK, and immediately I've consolidated the data from Betty, Jack, and Sam into just 3 lines. So you can see Betty, we had 25 here and 20 here. That gives me my 45. 20 and 10 gives me my 30, etc. Jack, we had 20, 22, and 21. Those would add up to, 20, 15, 22, and 21. That would add up to 78, etc. So now, with that simple little function there, I've consolidated these into one nice little table, do a little formatting here, and it looks like a nice little summary. And that's the first part of Consolidate. Now let's look at a different option. Here I have 3 different years. I have 2010 with the same 3 salespeople for the 4 quarters. 2011, again, the same 4 quarters, 3 salespeople, and 2012. But if you've noticed, each one is a little different in size. Here it goes from row 2 to row 7. In 2011 was 2 to row 8. And in 2010 was row 2 to row 11. So they're 3 different sizes, but they all have the same salespeople and the structure this way in terms of columns, Q1 to Q4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click where I want the end consolidation to be, and that's my Consolidated tab. I start there, I click in cell A1, and then go to Data and Consolidate again. And now, once I'm in my reference box there, I'm going to click on that and then click on 2010, highlight that area, click that and say Add. Then while that's highlighted in the reference box, I'm going to click on 2011. Notice how I kind of guessed what the size is, but I'm going to change that to that. Again, click Add. And lastly, 2012, do the same. Click Add. I have the 3 of them there. I have to make sure I do, again, my top row and left column. And I click OK. And now, again, it's summarized all 3 of those into a nice little table for me so that it's very simple to read, and I can see the data from those 3 different years all in one consolidated table. All right, the last option I'm going to show you, we're going to get rid of this. I'm just going to go ahead and clear that data off and just go into my Consolidated tab, and I'm just going to delete these just so we can go through the process for the last scenario that we're going to show, and that is, again, I'm going to use these 3 different years, but we're going to add a little twist to it. So I'm going to do the same thing. Start there in cell A1, go to Consolidate, click on that reference button, go ahead, highlight this data, click there, click Add, go to 2011, 11, highlight it, and add. And finally, 2012, do the same, highlight, and add. Make sure my top row and left column are checked, but lastly, I'm going to check create links to source data. I check that, and now I say OK, and now Excel has added the outline function here. So if we click on number 2 there, it expands it all, and it's all coming from the consolidate file, and you can see the 3 different groups for Betty, for Jack, and for Sam. And the nice part about this, the link is created so anything that's done to the individual tabs will be referenced and updated here. So for example, you can see in Q1 of the first tab, 2010, there's a 97. If I go there, you can see it's pulled at 97. So let's change it to something very obvious like 1,000. I hit enter. Now if I go back to consolidated, it's automatically updated it to 1,000, and that's increased that amount significantly. I go back and change it to 97. I go back to my consolidate, and you can see it's all been updated back to where it was. And that's the consolidate function. Hope you liked it. Glad you stopped by. Thanks a lot. And if you'd like to see more, please go to my blog, excel-bytes.com, and I hope you subscribe. Happy excelling.